Welcome to the Experience Miracles podcast, where we help parents find hope, answers, and drug-free help to overcome your child's chronic health challenges. I'm your host, Dr. Tony Ebel, and I'll be sharing my experiences as both a dad and a doctor on every episode. I can take the latest science and neurology of healing and break it down in the most simple and relatable way possible. We'll take on the toughest topics and answer your biggest questions through interviews with other amazing parents and leading experts, leaving you with practical action steps that you can take to help your child heal and thrive. It's time to expect and experience miracles. Let's get started. As parents, there is nothing more heart-wrenching than watching your child struggle with chronic health issues and feeling like you've already tried everything and exhausted both the traditional and holistic medical route. Parents of children with autism, ADHD, epilepsy, PANDAS, POTS, allergies, asthma, chronic gut and immune issues continue to tell us that they feel like they've not only exhausted the traditional medical route and received little to no help from those specialists and neurologists in that world, but they've also now tried virtually everything natural and holistic, like diet changes, detoxes, supplements, primitive reflexes, homeopathic, herbal remedies, and more. But what if we told you there was a crucial piece of the healing puzzle that most doctors and even natural health practitioners overlook entirely, despite it being hidden, as we like to say, right in plain sight? In this video, we are going to break down exactly what that missing real root cause foundational piece is and why it's so easily and so often overlooked, and how the most important aspect of helping your child heal is not just doing all the things all at once, but most importantly, learning how to do the things that really get results in the right order or sequence, where the basics and foundations of healing are put in place before we go after brain-based and more intricate or advanced therapies, treatments, healing, and recovery. To really set the stage for this, we can tap into Hannah's story. At just 11 years old, she was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis and faced daily battles with nausea, headaches, digestive issues, chronic fatigue, anxiety, and depression. Her family tried absolutely everything from supplements and special diets on the natural side to cryotherapy, and even in the medical world, chemotherapy, to try and get her inflammation and other disorders under control. Nothing provided much lasting relief, and Hannah reached such a low point that she felt empty and did not want to live anymore. But everything changed when Hannah walked into a neurologically-focused Detox chiropractic office. After her very first adjustment, she experienced immediate relief, sleeping through the night, feeling way less nauseous, and regaining her appetite. Today, Hannah says, the light at the end of the tunnel is there, and now I can say that with absolute certainty because I see it. Hannah is actually enrolled in college, and not just any college. Hannah today is enrolled in chiropractic school, and she is thriving. She is brilliant. She is compassionate, and she is so caring, and she's working hard at her studies, and yet her nervous system is keeping up and staying healthy. This is one of hundreds, honestly, thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands, if you add up all the Detox offices together, where we meet your family and we meet your child right at this seemingly end of the road, where you look at it and you go, we've exhausted everything within the traditional, conventional medical world. We've done all the tests. We've seen all the specialists, the neurologists, the psychiatrists, the immunologists, the gastroenterologists, you name it, every ologist you visited, gotten very little answers, and probably were told more tests, more medications, but less results and more side effects. And then you've awesomely stayed up late at night on Google, on Facebook, on Instagram, joined all those groups and said, teach me how to help my child heal naturally. You've gone into the biomedical world, the functional world, the homeopathic world, the holistic world, the diet changes, the detox, the supplements, the vitamins, the hyperbaric oxygen chambers. You name it, you've probably tried it to get your child better. And I promise you this, much of it has probably worked. The gut issues are probably getting better. Hopefully sleep is improving. Meltdowns and anxiety have lessened some. Whatever it may be, I pray that you're already seeing forward progress, but maybe you're entirely plateaued and have seen no progress either. No matter what, if you're still watching this video, it's because we've struck a chord with the title and with the introduction of this to say, we know you're exhausted from not only watching your child struggle, but also feeling what else could be out there? What else could be missing? I feel like I've tried it all. And the crazy thing is, when we're done with this video, you will see that in order to go fully forward and get to the real root cause foundational issues for your kiddo, it may feel like going backwards to go forward. But when you do, and you find this one, as I like to say, hidden in plain sight, missing foundational neurological cause behind pretty much every single chronic illness in kids, and us too, you'll be able to see that when you tap into that and you get access to that and you get that kind of care, now everything else you've been trying, from PT to OT to speech to ABA to counseling to mental and emotional therapies, to supplements to vitamins to trying new foods and all the things will begin to work so much better once you can rebuild and restore the foundation. So let's get into it. This is going to be a truly transformative video. So I want you to listen through the 5 different steps and main talking points we have here, which is where we're going to teach you first what's really causing our kids to be sick. It's not just genetics, and it's not just gluten and toxins and bad gut health either. Those are both involved, but there's more. Then we're going to get into exactly how to find it, what to do about it, and how to get that foundation taken care of for your kiddo. Let's get after it. Okay, first thing to dive deep into, my bet is that you have already learned a ton about natural holistic health, and you're quite well versed in something called the gut-brain connection and things called the microbiome, and how 70 to 80% of our immune system is in the gut. And so what happens if the gut gets all disrupted by all the toxins and the poor diet and the nasty world we live in now, which is very true, from Cheez-Its, Doritos, to Rockstar energy drinks, to medical interventions and medications like antibiotics and other things and chemicals and toxins, as I like to say, just literally should not be ingested, injected, or inhaled. And they're everywhere. So you have probably gone to great lengths to get toxins out of your kiddos, out of the cabinets, out of the pantry, out of the cleaners, out of their food. But maybe you've done the testing and you found that there is heavy metals and toxins and bacteria and parasites trapped in your child's body. So you've tried the biomedical interventions, the binders, the detoxes to get them out. So I bet that little rant I just went on about gut health, detoxes, microbiome, gut immune connection, neuroinflammation comes into that conversation. It's probably not the first time you've heard it, and maybe you've been working on it for years and seen a ton of awesome specialists, taking a ton of awesome supplements and vitamins and detox agents. But even you as a parent are thinking, man, we've done all this, we're seeing some changes, but not full changes. There must be more. So I want to teach you about nervous system dysregulation. Now, nervous system dysregulation, for this video and for the way we like to teach, it's going to go by a bunch of synonymous names and terms. We're going to talk about the sympathetic fight or flight system. So that's the stress, shut down the gut, shut down the immune system, leave the body in inflammation, leave the body in anxiety, leave the body in hyperactivity, shut down socialization, emotional regulation, and development. That side of the nervous system, it gets stuck on for our kiddos. That's the first feature, or kind of the first half of nervous system dysregulation, and it's called sympathetic dominance, or another name we have for it is called subluxation. But when we keep going with nervous system dysregulation, there's another side to this coin that's also not good. When you have too much sympathetic fight or flight gas pedal stuck on within this nervous system dysregulation, you also end up with a child whose nervous system has too little what's called parasympathetic, brake pedal, rest, relaxation, regulation, digestion, anti-inflammatory function, motor planning, developmental tracking. And we also know that this parasympathetic system really governed by a very important nerve called the vagus nerve, V-A-G-U-S. Absolutely Google it. That nerve is in charge of social, emotional, behavioral, and cognitive function within the brain and nervous system as well. And it's also very much involved in speech and communication and sensory processing and integration. So if you just take that last minute or two that I went through, we talk about this nervous system dysregulation, subluxation, and there's also another catch-all term for this called dysautonomia, which means too much sympathetic gas pedal, too little brake pedal, vagus nerve regulation side of the nervous system, you can connect that to every chronic condition in kids. And we see it clinically, and now the research is catching up massively as well, where we know that this nervous system dysregulation, dysfunction, and dysautonomia is connected to everything from autism to ADHD to anxiety to epilepsy. And in today's world, there's been an explosion of really tough conditions in kids called PANS and PANDAS. So bouts of anxiety, strep infections, motor tics, and all sorts of issues there. And then also POTS, which is really affecting young women and teenagers in a major way. The underpinnings of all of these conditions and hundreds more that I could list out all have to do with nervous system dysregulation, dysautonomia, and really the catalyst to that imbalance, which is called subluxation and that sympathetic dominance. So the more you can learn about nervous system dysregulation, which I have more to teach you here in this video, the more you will understand why your child is struggling with chronic illness, and the more you'll understand why maybe all these other therapies and interventions and modalities that you've thrown at it haven't quite been able to see and create full and complete and optimal healing, because there's only one thing that really foundationally addresses nervous system dysregulation at the level, or what I like to kind of call the potency, that perhaps your child needs based upon what they went through. Think of it like restoring, and you can also do it with like building a house from scratch, but we'll talk about restoring, because so often what you're looking to do with your kiddo is they've lost their health, their gut, their immune system, their emotions, their behavior, their nervous system is a mess, and you got to restore it or rebuild it. So I live, thankfully, God has given us this incredible, I'm a farm kid from Iowa, and I now live, we're outside Chicago where I practice, and we live out on a farm. And so this house we live in has been around for almost 100 years. So it's been restored, rebuilt, and added on to many times. Same with our barn. Now, thankfully, the reason we fell in love with this house and we knew that we could restore it, rebuild it, and bring it to life for our family to be the optimal end goal we wanted within the house is because the foundation was so strong. And the one thing when we restored the barn that we did do is because we were going to add to it, we built an even stronger foundation. And what's happening now today, the reason I bring that analogy into the mix is when other practitioners, and when we're doing this as parents, we're absolutely barking up the right tree, we're just maybe missing the foundation. When we're working on gut health, when we're working on inflammation, when we're working on retained primitive reflexes and low motor tone and a weak core and stimming and all these other brain-based things, gut-based things, immune system-based things, endocrine, liver, detox, when we're working on those systems, we aren't quite fully getting to the foundation. Yes, there's a gut-brain connection, but there's a brain-nervous system to the gut and immune system and motor system and every other system, foundational connection and pathway first. The nervous system is the boss. It is in charge of controlling, modulating, coordinating every other major system of the body. So if you've looked at it and read and got into books and podcasts and practitioners that say autism is a gut disorder, it is. It's a neurogut disorder. Autism is an inflammation and neuroinflammation disorder. It is. It's a neurogut immune disorder. And so I am already intentionally broken record redundant to say the nervous system is the thing that gets thrown off track developmentally first. And that's the foundation that needs to be fixed, restored, and rebuilt before diet, nutrition, supplements, detox, PT, OT, mental and emotional, behavioral counseling, ABA. If you've tried all those things and they haven't seemed to quite stick and transform your child's life, it's because we're trying to stick them on a wobbly, unsecure foundation, and we need to restore the function to the nervous system, the regulation to the nervous system first. And then when we do, my goodness, these diet changes, these detoxes, these supplements, these therapies, getting those toxins and heavy metals and parasites and bacteria out of the body will become so much more effective, because the nervous system is even in charge of detoxification. And it does a really good job of detoxification and elimination all on its own, as long as there's nervous system regulation first. So you can write it kind of in your notes this way. If there's nervous system dysregulation foundationally happening within your child's body, their detoxification and elimination will be severely and significantly limited, even if you add binders, add homeopathic, add cell core, add bioarray, and so forth. So the foundation is the answer. But where does it get off track first? I'm going to very briefly for this video, because I want to talk about the foundation of nervous system dysregulation, regulation. Then I want to show you a couple of visuals on my iPad before we're done. But I want you to know about something called the perfect storm. Now, what's really causing our kids to be sick, what's really causing autism and chronic illness in kids is multifactorial. Everybody that is even close to updated with clinical practice and updated research knows that. We know that it's not just random genetic chance. We know that we're just not diagnosing it more. And we know that it's also not just gut issues. There's more going on within this multifactorial as to what causes it, multi-systems disease, using autism as an example of all these chronic diseases. But there's a 3-step sequence that happens really, really early in life that really leads to this foundational nervous system dysfunction, and everybody overlooks it. Number 1 is high stress, high anxiety, fertility, and pregnancy journeys. We know that there's that mom-baby connection through the umbilical cord. So baby in this developmental stage, it's called fetal development, and the perinatal or prenatal stage. And so if mom's nervous system is completely stressed and dysregulated, and this medicalized prenatal system, labor and delivery system, is just constantly adding fear and anxiety and disempowerment to her nervous system, yes, there's toxins and other sort of things involved that get through the cord, but that nervous system for mom, if she's stressed, she's stuck on sympathetic dominance, she's anxious, she's exhausted, she doesn't quite have nervous system regulation and growth and development within her nervous system, that starts that child moving down this perfect storm, fight or flight, nervous system dysregulation path. We see it clinically, we see it documented all over the place within the research, and it's gotten worse, especially during the COVID times where there was so much fear, so much disempowerment of everybody, but especially pregnant moms and brand new babies. That's step 1. Step 2 is really, really the one that is hidden in plain sight. What we see in 85 to 90%, usually more, of our chronic illness cases in practice, and research backs this one up too, is birth intervention and brainstem injury via things like forceps, vacuum, cord wrapped, short cord, breech presentation, induction, vacuum extraction, C-section, especially if the emergency. There is so much physically yanking, twisting, injury to the delicate neurological tissues of the brainstem and the upper neck, which is where chiropractic comes into this neurospinal sensory nervous system injury and into the conversation, because that's what disrupts the foundation. Remember how we were talking about nervous system, autonomic balance and regulation through the whole beginning of this video? All of that air traffic control that is in charge of regulation and function and coordination within all of the nervous system and every other major system downstream, but especially the gut, especially the immune system, and especially the motor developmental. So big gross motor, sensory motor, fine motor, speech, and so many more things are all regulated by the nerves and the nervous system really in that brainstem area. So the second part of the perfect storm is birth interventions and trauma. And then the third part comes into play, which I know you probably already know all about, and that's the overuse and the overexposure to toxins, not only in our food, in our water, in our diet, in our environment, but in medical injections and medications. There is too many toxins. Our kids' nervous systems, especially if already sympathetic dominant, dysregulated, and dysautonomic, so out of balance from those first two perfect storm factors. Then we put toxins in, because when the nervous system is stressed and dysregulated, it shuts down gut motility and detoxification, and it ramps up hypersensitivity and inflammation. That is why so many kids today are having reactions to medications, reactions to medical interventions, reactions to gluten and dairy and peanuts and pollen and all the things. It's not that our environment has just become more toxic. Toxins have been around since the 1950s, when chronic illness in kids was not around at all. So I know when you take this natural, holistic journey, moms and dads, everybody else out there outside of this video and this platform and nervous system focused pediatric chiropractors, they talk almost 100% about toxins and diet and our environment. They are 100% accurate. That is absolutely essential to getting your kid better. But these other factors of nervous system dysregulation, or let's just call it the other foundational factor of nervous system dysregulation, That's not just the missing puzzle piece. That's the table, and back to our foundation analogy, that's the entire foundation that neurodevelopment and immuno, body healing must come from. Okay, so I know that was quite a TED Talk already about nervous system dysregulation and the missing foundational root cause. But to this point, you've only had my words to walk you through all this, and I've probably introduced quite a few new terms that maybe you'd heard of before, but didn't really have an in-depth definition and explanation, especially as it relates to your child's chronic condition. So what I want to do is just spend a few more minutes to show you visually what we're talking about with this health healing neurological foundation. And then I'm going to show you a case study, a kiddo who came to our clinic. They actually came from overseas, from Ireland to Crystal Lake, to outside Chicago to get care in our office. And this incredible family had literally absolutely done everything. All the conventional route, worse results. All the natural route, tons of supplements, tons of detox, tons of everything, and still hadn't seen results. So we're going to get into his case too. But first, this is a very simple, just illustration and image to show you what we've been talking about the whole time. And I'll just give you a simple 1 to 2 minute walkthrough. So here at the foundation is nervous system development. Now, the nervous system is the very first thing to develop in utero. Literally, as soon as conception happens, the nervous system runs the show for the rest of life. It has to. The nervous system tells the heart when to beat, the lungs when to breathe, food when to digest. So the first thing to develop is what's called the neural tube and the brain stem. So the nervous system, autonomic central nervous system, then dictates growth and development from that point forward. Now, if you really study neurodevelopment, the next system up that is foundational to brain-based health. So we know that when the motor system is when there's havoc wreaked within the motor system, and there's delayed motor milestones, or there's missed motor milestones, or even when they achieve their motor milestones, but there's torticollis, there's dyspraxia, there's dystonia, there's a weak core, there's poor posture, there's altered gait. So when the neuromotor system gets thrown off, that is foundational to brain-based health forever forward after that. And then finally, the gut and the immune system, that comes into play third. So when you're looking at it, and I feel like for so many of you, you got so excited, rightfully so. We found the root cause. My child's gut is a mess. Their microbiome is a mess. That's where the inflammation and the immune system dysregulation is coming from. That's why the parasites and the bacteria and the heavy metals are all stuck in there, in the liver, in the kidneys. We're going to get them out of there by getting into the gut. And by getting into the gut, we're going to get into the brain. And you're absolutely barking up the right tree, but you're maybe getting to the trunk of it, whereas this is actually the foundation of it. So these stressors come from the perfect storm in order. Remember, we talked about in the beginning, the sequence, and that means, and here's where I want to round third base with this video and get you into the kind of, for many of you, might feel like going backwards and adding something new, but I want you to see that when you add this new thing called neurologically-focused chiropractic, and you put it as the first foundational thing to get your child's nervous system back regulated, back balanced, and more relaxed, so it's not in sympathetic fight or flight, shutdown, protection, gut limitation, elimination, shutdown mode, then you can start to add in movement-based therapies, then the functional integrative medicine, diet changes, detoxes, and even the behavior, the counseling, the discipline, the rewards, the guidance. All of that will start to improve and work better later on. The brain-based stuff comes online after we fix the foundation. No one talks about nervous system dysregulation and a disrupted foundation, and nobody looks as deep into the case history, perfect storm, but most importantly, into an examination and a set of scans. So the last minute or two, I promise, of this video for you, these are Ethan's scans. And again, Ethan is an incredible young little boy who came over fully trapped into quite significant autism. Now, I bring that term in for relatability for many of you families, but I want you to know that what we do here with neurologically focused chiropractic care, and really everybody and anybody on the holistic, natural, integrative, functional chiropractic side of the fence, we don't treat, we don't cure autism. What we do is we address the root cause, for us, nervous system dysfunction and dysregulation, and the body then gets back into healing, recovery, detoxification, and developmental mode on its own. And so if I were to show you another screenshot from Ethan's case history and his paperwork, Ethan was on over 30 different biomedical supplement detoxification interventions and options. And he had done pretty much everything, even in the natural holistic world, with his incredible parents and family who are brilliant, who are courageous, and who knew they weren't going to stop working to find the real root cause of Ethan's challenges until they did. And boy, did they when they got over here to Chicago. Because what we see first, so on the left is what's called Ethan's thermal scan. So this is measuring for that dysregulation and dysautonomia. Okay, that's what this thermal scan is measuring. So he has severe amounts of that subluxation and dysregulation right in his brainstem area. That is where all motor planning, autonomic function, vagus nerve, digestion, immune regulation, again, motor tone and coordination, sleep, speech, socialization are all controlled by up here. But what we knew, what was really interesting, and I want to add this detail to this. I know it's a long video, but I know it'll change your life if you get all the way through it. And please share this as well with other families who you know are in your friend group, in your text group, in your Facebook groups, who have tried everything and nothing has worked. And you know they're missing this foundation too. This is where the adrenals and the kidneys and the liver, so this is the neuro supply to those tissues and organs that are in charge of detoxing the body, and when the adrenals are not overactive, calming the body. And so the reason that Ethan's system was so problematic and having so much troubles with getting those toxins and those heavy metals out is because there was subluxation and neurological dysfunction right smack in that area. So despite all the supplements and all the detox agents and all the diet changes that tried to get those out, he couldn't poop. So Ethan was entirely, ridiculously constipated. And so when we started to adjust up here, we were able to see him calm, handle transitions, sleep better, smile more, be at ease more, communicate literally more. His speech and verbalization is now on fire. But this was really essential to healing Ethan and helping, I said that wrong, helping Ethan's nervous system heal from the inside out. We certainly positively do not do the healing. Your kids are the heroes. They will heal once we get this subluxation and dysregulation out of their way. So once we started to adjust there, I'll just add it in, that's when we started to play the song you might have heard by Tag Team called Poop, There It Is. It's not really the song they wrote, but if I were to write one, because we help kids poop so much through adjustments that activate the relaxation, digestion, elimination side of the nervous system and get that subluxation out of the way, he started to go all of the time, which is so essential to healing. And then finally, this one here is really measuring his motor system. So this is what's called an EMG scan. And what you can see where all these areas of blowout are, that is where his neuromotor tone was really, really excessive. So this is where the stimming and almost kind of like tics and vocalization and those things came for Ethan. And then right here, you can see that collapsed and weakened core. Now they had tried to do all sorts of movement-based therapies to address that weak core, but his weak core, that hypotonicity and low tone was coming from high tone, subluxation, sympathetic dominance first. And the third scan is what's called HRV. Now, what's really cool for Ethan is because he is so well loved and so empowered and so supported by his incredible family that his HRV, that white dot being in the green there, as I had that on the screen, that's a sign that Ethan actually, what we call globally or with the totality of his nervous system, has tons of resiliency, tons of adaptability left in the tank, as we like to say it. So even though the rest of his nervous system was quite a mess, quite subluxated, quite dysregulated, because he was so loved and so supported and so cared for by his incredible parents and providers, it didn't cause his nervous system at his young age to completely become exhausted yet. Some of our teenagers, our young adults, our other cases, POTS and epilepsy and other sort of stuff, that HRV maybe is more downtrodden and more worn out. That's okay. We know how to recharge and rebuild that foundation too. So on Ethan's case, it was really about subluxation and nervous system dysregulation, setting up shop in one, his sensory, speech, motor planning, kind of air traffic control. And then two, it really set up shop within his neuro, gastro, immune, liver, kidneys, detox pathways. So when we made adjustments to target those two absolutely essential neurophysiological foundational functions, and we got those back online, now Ethan is back home, continuing with chiropractic care, and of course, living a crazy, healthy, toxin-free, well-supported lifestyle with his rockstar parents. And he is absolutely, positively coming out of the storm. He's sleeping so much better. He's pooping so much better. He gets sick so much less often, and he gets over it so much quicker when he does. His motor planning is more smooth and calm and coordinated. His core is so much stronger. His stems are coming down. His speech and his socialization are coming online. You name it, Ethan is coming out of the storm because we addressed his nervous system dysregulation, his subluxation, and that foundational dysautonomia hidden in plain sight storm that is really the root cause of why so many kids are so sick with so many conditions, no matter the name or no matter if it's multiple like Hannah and others. And this may not have been the shortest, simplest video you've ever seen, but I hope that as we got deep into the complexity and the intricacy of the perfect storm of neurodevelopment, and most importantly, neurological healing and the sequence and the batting order that really brings it about, I hope you were able to see it and understand it as simply and as sequentially as possible, and see that it's very likely that neurologically focused chiropractic has been not just the missing piece to your child's healing puzzle, but the missing foundation to your entire family's life transformation. Because when you see your kiddo heal and come out of this chronic illness and get to the other side of their perfect storm, it changes the entire family. For many of our patients, we've had almost 100 of our patients, many times the kid themselves, if they started as a teenager, go off to chiropractic school like Hannah, and many times parents have seen this absolutely miraculous transformation through this kind of specialized chiropractic, and they've gone on to chiropractic school. Many of them, therefore, are listed on our directory, which is the final action step. If this video found you and it absolutely struck you at your core as that's it, that's what we're missing, that's what we've been searching, praying, and scrolling for all along, I want you to follow the links either with this video in our bio, send us a DM, add a comment below, whatever you need to get connected to us if you're local to me and our crew, or through our PX Docs directory. We have trained doctors knowing this science, knowing these clinical protocols, using this technology all over the world. All you got to do is send us a DM, hit the link, send us a comment to find that directory, and also send us any questions you have. If this sparked more questions, send them. We'll do a video. We'll make content on the Experience Miracles podcast. We'll go through and make a podcast episode to answer them. And also, last request, please share this. I hope that this video, wherever you're watching it, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, I hope that this video truly goes viral, because in today's world where our kids are way too sick and we're too tired, way too tired and exhausted, feeling like we've already tried everything and nothing is working, this is the answer to that really, really exhausting real life challenge for so many of you. So if you could help us find more parents and give them these answers and these drug-free, root cause, nervous system foundation action steps, we'd so appreciate it. God bless, be well. I can't wait to hear your kiddo's miraculous, life-transformative story. Get to a PX Doc, get to a nervous system-focused chiropractor today.